Welcome to Sisters in Arms. I'm Kerrie Ann Auclair.
And I'm Renee Gagne. Together we serve as a Second Amendment resource for our communities.
So again, we're having our 36th episode, and we're going to talk about handgun malfunctions. What is handgun malfunctions? Well, we got failure to feed, we got stovepipes, we got hang fire, we got squib loads, and we have a way to we can talk about how to handle them as well. So.
Let's start with the safety rules.
Yes.
Let's do that.
Let's start with the safety rules. So always, always, always keep your gun pointed in a safe direction. So that means at nothing you're willing to destroy.
And at any point your safe direction can change.
Yep.
Like everybody says, okay, well downrange is safe. Yep, until a deer runs across, right? Then it's not
Or the
safe.
snapping turtle that Lou saved.
Absolutely.
All right, and the second one?
Finger off the trigger.
Always keep your finger off the trigger.
Until you're ready to shoot.
Right, and the third one is always keep your gun unloaded until ready to use. And know your target and what's beyond.
Mm-hmm. So finger off the trigger until your sights are on target.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So make a gun, take a gun, make a gun, take a gun. Mm-hmm. All right, so first one, failure to feed.
All right, is that me? Am I
It's
up?
you are up.
All right, we have lots of pictures today, so thank you, Kim, who's our director. We spent an hour behind the scenes before the last show started, because we do 2 in a row, getting all the pictures in order. So this is going to be fantastic. Thank you, Kim, for all your hard work. So we'll start with failure to feed.
Yep, and I think she's got an awesome picture.
Yep.
Oh, that's
so
the...
is this the tap, rack, and roll?
This is the tap, rack, and roll.
We'll start there.
Okay.
So sometimes when you have malfunctions, the best thing to do, the quickest, most effective thing to do would be to tap, rack, and roll. That's a technique where
they tap the
that's
bottom
tap.
of the magazine.
You're tapping the magazine, hopefully to get it seated in right, because that might be the problem. It's not in all the way. So that looks like this. Tap, tap, rack, roll. Okay? So that's the tap, rack, and roll.
And the roll is to get the bad
Cartridge.
round out, or
Yep.
whatever is causing the issue.
Yep. And then it will automatically, when you rack it, it will get
Eject the bad round or
right.
whatever's going on.
And the next one should feed up.
Yep.
If your magazine's nice and
Right.
in there the right way. So that's why you're tapping.
And that method of tap, rack, and roll is really, really good, because if you are in a situation where you do need to fire, you need your firearm for to protect yourself. You're in a critical dynamic situation and you need to get back on target. Tap, rack, roll gets you back on there, rather than removing the magazine, which sometimes
Yes.
you have no choice.
Yes. So thank you for saying that, because when I first started, and you were probably the same way, because we weren't defensive. When we first held a handgun, we weren't defensive. We were trying to figure it out. So typically, when you're first beginning, when something goes wrong, your immediate thought is to hit the magazine release, get the ammo out, rack it, get the cartridge out, and start fresh, right? Because you can do that, because you're at the range, there's no threat, you're just practicing. But in a critical dynamic situation, you don't want to be taking your magazine out, right? Oh, you just got rid of all of your ammo. So that's where the tap, rack, and roll comes in.
All right, so let's see what next picture we have, and then we can go from there. Okay, so that kind of does the rack, which we were just discussing. So let's see, what's the other picture? I think we have one, but that is a perfect example of what it looks like to rack.
Yep.
And then we don't have a roll, but it's the same idea, which Renee just showed you. So tap, rack, and then roll.
Yeah.
And then the
See
next,
how our finger's not on the trigger?
Not on the trigger. And then the next picture I think we have is hang fire. So we want to go back though, because we have another one, but I don't know if the picture, if you still have it, Kim, where it was the
failure to feed.
Failure to feed. It might have been a double. That's okay. We'll pull up that picture that you just had, and then right there. And then Renee will go into failure to feed definition and explain that.
Failure to feed or failure to feed malfunction can be identified when the trigger is pulled expecting a round to be fired, but there is just a click. And some of the potential causes of a failure to fire or feed malfunction would be possibly a bad round of ammunition, improperly seated magazine, that's why we tap to get that magazine in, shooter hitting the side lock accidentally during the firing sequence, limp wristing or improper grip, that's a biggie. So if you're limp about it and you're not giving enough pressure, keeping it straight, then you're going to probably have some malfunction too.
And it just doesn't give the gun the chance to work properly. So that's why a proper grip, like we talked about in our last episode. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check it out, because this really makes a lot more sense if you're watching that than watching this. And it just causes issues. I have to take my thumb rings off because I accidentally hit the safety. Yeah.
Can we have true confessions right now? I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it because I don't care, right? This is a good teachable moment. I bought a competition pistol, and it was a great gun. Took it home, went to the range. The trigger, I couldn't pull the trigger. Why can't I pull the trigger? I brought it back to the gun store. They had a range in the gun store. The guy took it out back. Thank God he didn't make me feel like an idiot. Every time I went, I had my grip, my hand, because I'm a left-handed shooter, however I was doing it, my hand kept hitting the safety. Engaging.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
It was I ended up selling the gun to you because I couldn't do it. It just the way, and that's another reason why you want to try your guns before. Hold them at least and make sure that you're able to properly grip it without any of that stuff happening.
Right, and there could be recoil spring issues, so mechanisms within the gun. You could have improper ammo, which that's happened before, so maybe it was just a bad round, didn't have enough powder or primer, who knows, and it just didn't do what it needed to do. We see that a lot typically with the rimfires, 22s, which we'll do another show on ammo one time. But yeah, so those are some of the things that can happen. And again, the tap, rack, and roll is
faulty magazines. A lot of people buy aftermarket magazines, and I'm not knocking aftermarket parts, but sometimes they just don't fit right. So before you get all crazy, put that magazine aside and try a different magazine. This is kind of like what you have to do to figure out why your gun is you're getting these malfunctions. Right. That's a big one.
Right. And all of what we're talking about, the handgun malfunctions, is not to scare you. It's no different than understanding of how your car works. You need to do an oil change. You need to make sure your brakes work. This is the same thing. If you're on the highway and your brakes are not working and something's not right and you hear all these clicking sounds, you don't panic. You're like, okay, all right, well, let's move over here and I'm going to call AAA because, you have things in place to make sure that you're safe if you did happen to have to go.
And just like your car, the more mechanically inclined you are, the less fearful you're going to be because you can kind of figure out what's going on. Right? Same with a gun. If you just take it out of the box, don't read the manual and go think you're going to shoot it, you're going to run into problems.
Yep, that's a very good point. So the next one is hang fires. So we have a picture. So this is a hang fire technically, and you can't really tell. So basically what it is you pull the trigger and you hear a click, no bang. So it's kind of like the pin. You hear that click, and nothing else happens. So it could be a hang fire.
Or it could be a misfire.
Or it could be a misfire. You don't know. So you have to hold it down range for 30 seconds, like visualize 30 seconds and hold it down range because it could be a delay, and that delay could be many reasons. It could be not as much primer and it's still igniting the powder, but it took a little bit longer for it to do its thing to shoot it out of the gun, to shoot the bullet out of the gun. So holding it down range for 30 seconds, okay, great. And if you hold it down range for 30 seconds and then you realize, okay, well, that was odd. Why did it go off? It could be a bad round. It could be a rim fire, as we were talking about, which is so typical because the pin has to hit just right on the outside of the rim fire. So the rim fire, so the pin has to hit has to hit on the outsides.
Yep.
And then a center fire. is the pin hits in the middle. So rimfire is the pin hits here. So sometimes the pin doesn't hit right and it just doesn't go off. So again, the tap, rack, and roll method, but pay attention too, because if you hit tap, rack, roll, and you don't see anything coming out, then maybe you have something else that's requiring you to remove the magazine, because it could be a double feed, which we'll talk about later.
And this is why your ammo is super important. You want to keep your ammo in a cool, dry place. You don't want to keep it in a place that has a lot of humidity. Ammunition does not like humidity, for sure.
And a good point to make too is, if you are making your own ammo,
Don't knock it, girl, because I do.
It's good. But you got to learn how to do it.
Don't knock it. You've got to know how to do it.
And I wouldn't necessarily grab anybody's reloads. So making someone else made some ammo for you, like, hey, have this. If you don't know who that person is, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, you have to trust the person that's reloading. They have to put a specific amount of powder. If you put too much powder, you can blow your gun up, and that is the plain and simple truth, right?
Yep.
There's catalogs that you go by.
Yep.
It's precision, and people that precision shoot, competition shoot, they like to load their own ammo because they are precise in how much. They know exactly how much powder to put to get the shot to go where they want it to go.
Baking a cake. You got to have the right ingredients.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and I think you're up.
Oh, can we, so ammo really quick, keep it in its original container.
Oh, yes.
Don't buy a big, one of those plastic things
ammo
and dump
cans.
hundreds of rounds into one and have it be like the candy shop, right? Because for many reasons, if you have faulty ammunition, you'll never know what the lot number is on that box. And if things get recalled, you won't know if your ammo is one of those that got recalled.
Right. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
And we've seen it happen. So now stovepipe. I think we got a really good picture on that, and I think you're up, Renee.
Stovepipe. And
hey, perfect picture. I love this picture. We'll keep this up for a few seconds so people can really see
so
it.
a stovepipe occurs when an empty shell casing fails to completely clear the ejection port. These malfunctions are recognizable by the shell casing protruding from the ejection port, and it looks like a stovepipe, hence the name stovepipe. And the firearm will not go into battery. So your gun is now inoperable with that, like that.
And the tap, rack, roll, we'll bring it back in.
Or a pew.
Yep. Or
if you want to be fancy.
I've tried to do that. I'm like, ow. And there's a couple causes for that, right? To why stovepipes happen?
The causes, a weak grip. So again, like we said, the whole weak grip.
Yep.
Limp-wristed. Yep. Limp-wristed or insufficient powder of the ammunition.
Yep, and or the, what do they call that? The ejection, oh Lord, what's that? It's called, totally went out of my head. It's the part inside the gun that ejects the round out, and that could be broken or not functioning properly. So that's why it's good to know your gun, clean your gun, talk to your gun, say hi to your gun every now and then.
Your car likes oil, your guns like oil.
Yep.
The first thing I diagnosed because for years we practiced helping these ladies on the line with the Armed Women of America chapter, and the biggest stovepipe issue always seems to be the limp gripping.
Yep.
It's
Extractor.
just not a strong,
I just remembered it. Extractor. Sorry.
It's not a strong. It's just not a strong grip. So start there. If you're noticing, wow, this is weird. My gun is just not ejecting the cartridge the right way. You may want to look at your grip.
Your grip, your grip, your grip.
Everybody wants to blame the gun all the time.
Right. And I used to actually have a lot of stovepipes with my other gun all the time, and I knew it was my grip. I was limp-wristed. I wasn't holding that gun properly and giving it a good handshake and being nice to it. I was
You being dainty.
Yeah. Well, it was either that or I was holding it.
Was it a 22?
No, it was my LC9S, my 9, which I didn't particularly like too much. But it was also very finicky with ammo, too. That's another thing. Some guns like certain ammo. Like the Victory is very picky with that ammo. It needs the right ammo, needs the right food. So double feed. I don't know if I thought we had a picture of double feed, which looks like it was two Yep, there it is. Yay, I got the screen. So you can't really tell, but it looks as though that, which you can tell if you really look at the picture itself. So if you look closely, you will see that there is an actual round in the barrel. So it's right there. It's you kind of see it, and then you see, and these are dummy rounds, by the way, and then you see another cartridge coming up, which is the purple or pink cartridge, and it's trying to double feed. So it's trying to feed in to the hole that's already occupied by the other round. So that's a double feed. My Victory is infamous for doing this. And the only way that you're going to really be able to handle that malfunction is, unfortunately, removing the magazine. And it sucks because you want to get back in the fight. Tap, rock, and roll is typically not going to help. So you have to remove the magazine and then rack the slide a couple times. Sometimes you might have to actually lock the slide back and dig into trying to get them out. I think the 22s are typical, don't you think?
Yeah, the 22s are something else.
Yep, and there's a lot of reasons for it. It could be a lot of reasons for it. My gun, like I said, the Victory is extremely picky, and I need to have specific 22s for that gun. Or it could be something else. It could be the magazine, the coil, the
Well,
spring.
thankfully, you're not trying to save your life with that gun.
Thank God.
Right. Like, if you're going to use it for target practice, and like, this gun is notorious for jamming, that is not a gun you want to use to try to save your life.
Right. And it could be a broken extractor. It could be the spring in the magazine. I think I have one magazine that's actually wonky. So I put it aside, I labeled it, and I'm going to take it apart. So sometimes it's like, same thing. You're in a car, you're riding the car all the time. You have to replace the brakes, the tires, and stuff like that. Same things with certain things in a firearm.
Just like going to your doctor.
Yep.
They're trying to check things off, like, well, it could be this, it could be that, it could be, you just have to go down the list of things that it could be.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to, when you do take your gun apart or get your gun for the first time, go on Amazon, I'm on Amazon, go on YouTube, University of YouTube, pull up your make and model of your gun and actually watch a video of the gun being taken apart, putting back together, take it apart, put it back together, and make sure you look at your manual. I personally don't like, the manual is great to have, but I think it's very confusing for somebody that's doing it for the first time, don't you think?
Yeah, I am so grateful for YouTube, because when I'm at the range with someone who has a model of a gun that I am unfamiliar with, trying to take it apart and put it back together, they're different. Some of them are just so extremely different. So YouTube is my friend for that. But I think about the old timers that didn't have YouTube, right?
They just knew what they were doing.
Right. Of course, they didn't have the fancy different guns they have today, but
yeah.
University and YouTube is great for that.
That's right. And again, just know that what we're saying and what we said in the last episode, this is just little touching points. This is a whole
8-hour class. 8-hour class.
Yep. We did, 2 hours, or excuse me, actually an hour worth of handgun fundamentals and handgun malfunctions in an hour. But we're touching upon this. So don't take this as being your educational. This gives you a little idea of like, oh, I should really take a class, or I should really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
A lot of people get a gun, they don't know what to do next. And there's so many different things you can do to educate yourself. And again, if you can't afford it, go on YouTube. And there's so many different people that do a lot of really awesome things on YouTube to help you out. Just make sure that the person that you're looking at is credible. Not
like Joe Schmo in his garage, like making things up.
Hey, right? I got a gun for you.
Right. If you can commit to doing maybe 2 classes a year or something, 2 classes a year, that's not that much.
Yeah. And that's why we started the Armed Women of America, because we realized that once a month these ladies do get to come, do a class, go on the range, and practice what they learn. Whatever they practice, what they learn, whatever they learn, they go and practice on their own. So that's the key.
Yep, and practice is what makes you better. So even if you found an instructor that offers one-to-one classes, that's incredible huge. Too. Maybe you don't have 8 hours to go to the range, and maybe you don't have a few $100 for a class like that, but you could do one-to-one.
Right.
That's
really
perfect.
Good. That kind of get your willies out too, because you're not under the pressure of being next to other students. And don't ever compare yourself. Don't ever compare yourself. Don't even look at the other targets, really, honestly. Look at your own target, worry about your own self, and know that everybody started from somewhere.
Right.
I mean, we've done this for a while. And if we don't get to the range, our targets are going to tell us, and they're going to yell at us. And we're not ashamed of it, but we educate people all the time. Sometimes we have a hard time taking care of ourselves, and we've been I know I have been a lot better in making sure that I go to classes on a regular basis.
And just being physically fit, you don't think it's a big deal, but you need grip strength. If you're going to have a pistol, you need to be able to rack that slide, and if you have no grip strength, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So make sure when you're going to purchase firearm that if you're looking at a pistol, make sure that you can rack it.
Yeah, and there's so many different guns that are amazing, like the EZ, you can rack that, has a safety on the grip. I'm not sure if I'm too fond
The
of
Smith
that,
& Wesson
but-
EZ is a phenomenal gun for people who can't rack a pistol
Right.
without a lot of problem.
Right. But-
This is so easy to rack.
Yep.
Easy to break down, easy to clean.
And you know what? Maybe what we'll do is we'll go to the range and have a bunch of guns out, do a little video, and show y'all different types of guns that we have. Oh, we got one more.
Okay, this is my favorite.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's my favorite. It's pretty deadly, but maybe that's why I love it, right? I don't know. Squib load. It's amazing to me how many people don't even know what a squib load is. So this picture was given to me from one of the instructors at my range. This was actually one of his students. So how scary is that, right?
And just so you know, that gun was taken apart. And so that's just, it wasn't the actual gun. Just
no one's
that.
pointing the muzzle at their eyeball and taking a picture. That's just the barrel, showing you that the actual bullet is still in the barrel. Should not be there. And there's another one.
Yep.
So wow. And it doesn't have to be that far down the barrel. It could be in the middle of it. You may not even be able to see it. So the squib load, they're the most dangerous type of malfunction. If left unchecked, that isn't going to be a big deal if you don't pull the trigger again. But what happens if you fire a subsequent shot and the bullet is still in there, you are going to potentially blow the gun up, hurt yourself, ruin your gun. So that is why the squib load is so dangerous. So what happens is you pull the trigger and it sounds a little weird. It doesn't sound like the rest of your shot sound. It might sound weak or like a pff sound, like something's weird. The gun may not feel the same. You can't find your shot on the target, and you've been,
A gun poof.
Yeah,
something's
weird. So if you suspect a squib load, unload your firearm and check the barrel for obstruction. There are several ways to check the barrel for an obstruction. Begin by using a bore light or a flashlight to shine through the barrel from the chamber end, looking for the light to shine out of the muzzle end of your firearm, with the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. If light comes out of the muzzle end of the gun, you do not have a barrel obstruction. Another thing that I really love to use is the bore snake.
Yes.
You can just feed the bore snake. It's a cleaning tool, but if you can feed it through the barrel and it easily goes through, then you know you don't have an obstruction. If you do have an obstruction, you can see in this picture, you're going to need to tap it out with a rod. Because it's going to be lodged in there pretty good.
So that gun was taken apart, and that was just the barrel. And then if you don't pay attention, this really could happen to you. It actually blew it up. So the barrel is blown off, and all you see now is the spring.
Yeah. So if you're using a rod and mallet after field stripping the firearm, the RSO, the range safety officer, may be helpful in this situation, and then you may need to seek help of a gunsmith if you can't get it out. There are a lot of ranges that don't have employees 24/7, so you may find yourself alone when this happens.
And it's not anything to worry about as long
What you have to worry about is when you fire the gun and it sounds weird, and you do nothing about it and you fire it again, that's when you're going to have a problem.
That's why it's important to have ears that you have electronic hearing on, so you can hear what's going on.
Yep, and it's very important to have glasses, not these prescription glasses, like ballistic safety glasses.
Right.
They have,
Right.
if you need glasses to shoot, they have ballistic safety glasses that go over your prescribed glasses.
Yep. Yep. And that's
Because remember, some people have real glass in their glasses still to this day, not like yours is probably plastic. These are plastic.
yeah. Most of the eyeglasses that you get from the eyeglass, like
They're
the,
like a
the eye
poly
doctors, this is safety
plastic.
glass.
Yeah. But still, they can shatter and it can get in your eye. So you want to put the safety ones over your prescription glasses. And a lot of these glasses are cute and little, and it's perfect for things to fly up and get
why I wear a
this
hat.
way. Yeah, so you can wear a hat. And again, putting the safety goggles, you look like Urkel, right? Like you're ready for a chemistry class.
Yeah,
But safety doesn't take a holiday.
Safety doesn't take a holiday,
No.
and we will show the NRA safety rules again to go over them. I think we mentioned it in the beginning, but again, it's imperative. You pay attention to these safety rules, nothing bad will happen, period. And if you pay attention to listening to what your firearms normally sounds like, you know, again, nothing will happen. We're not trying to scare you with the squib loads. Squib loads is only scary if you don't know how to handle it. So we got 2 more minutes. This is great. I can't believe it. I love shows like this.
We haven't done one of these in a while.
I know. Anything to add to it?
No, I did say that squib loads were my favorite because they're so dangerous, but I think it's just because I'm an operating room nurse and I love excitement. But no one ever wants to see a squib load,
No,
for sure.
No, and if you do happen to come across it, don't freak out. If you're by yourself at the range and you're like, oh my God, I got a squib load. Think of it like a spitball, like when you were a kid. You were, you know, you put too much.
That's good.
You put too much paper in your mouth, and then you go to try to. And you
it's
can't
stuck
get it
in the
stuck,
straw.
and it's stuck in the straw. And if you try to do another one, and there's another one that starts coming behind it,
Right.
but it's a spitball, so it's not going to do anything. But if you put another one behind a live round,
With
that's
gas
where
and pressure.
that's where
Right.
the issue can be. So
Right.
I call it, you know, a gun poof, but you know, I use another term. But if you hear that click and poof, you could feel the difference. There could be a slight recall. There could be a slight muzzle flash.
Or the recoil feels different.
Yep, maybe a little bit of a recoil,
Yeah.
but not much. You know.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, that's
We
weird.
got 1 minute. I can't believe
Oh, we
this.
only have 1 minute?
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us on Sisters in Arms. If you have any questions, sistersinarms2022@gmail.com.
That was fun.
I know.
Stay safe. Train. Take some classes.
Yep.